And I'm here for that. So no. And this is a conversation about Black Panther. So we're gonna go ahead and get started while we wait for Naya to join. Melissa, thank you so much for joining me today, honey.
Thank you for inviting me.
Y'all so dope. Y'all put up with me.
No, we have fun with you. we enjoy talking all the time, so it's fine.
Yes. Okay, so today, day 3 of Live Minutes, we are talking about Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. And let's just start with like your initial thoughts. Or actually, let's not start with your initial thoughts. Do you remember what you were thinking to the theater?
Like what I was thinking it might be like before I went?
Any expectations you had, hopes, concerns, like anything that you were thinking?
I think my biggest concern, well, not biggest concern, my biggest curiosity was how they were gonna transition Black. It was gonna be like, I knew it was gonna be sad. We're gonna have to wrap in him passing away into the movie, but I was like, who's gonna take the mantle? Like, a part of me wanted Shuri, but then a part of me also wanted them to bring back Michael B. Jordan. Like, my brothers and I talked about the possibility of bringing back Michael B. Jordan, and like he was a different version of himself, not the one that died. And then what else? I don't know. I was nervous, to be honest, because I was like, I know the first one was so amazing. And it wasn't just because of Chadwick Boseman, but it was a large part because of him. So I was like, what if it's not as good because he's no longer there? Like, and I was like, what if we lose our, like, magical Wakanda where, like, everything is just hopeful and, like, you just feel like Black excellence at its best or at its finest, you know? And I was worried about that.
Yeah, I really, I was going to see it regardless, because one thing about Erica, she's going to watch something Black. Like, she's just going to do it. It's just in me, right? But I was very concerned that it was not going to be as good as the first one. I was very concerned of what happens now without Chadwick. I was very concerned. I did not want Shuri to be the follow-up to him. I was just like, I'm not invested yet. Like, I like her as a little sister. I like her as the sidekick. I like her as a little comedic flair, a little razzle dazzle, but she ain't the main core. I wasn't with it. I wasn't with it at all. And that all really, really concerned me. But again, I was going to see it regardless. I was planning to see it multiple times regardless. And now we can really talk about, I guess, what we thought once we actually saw it, because I was completely blown away. It exceeded every expectation, but again, my expectations were very low. What about you?
I honestly was like, as I was watching it, I was sitting there like, oh my God, like the cinematography, like everything was just so beautiful that I was just like staring at the screen, like making sure that I was following the story and not just lost in like the visuals. And I was like, it was so good. Like I remember it ending and I was just like, it's over. And mind you, the movie's almost 3 hours. And I was like, why is it over? Like, why couldn't we keep going? Like, I literally came home and had to watch the first one because I was like, I wasn't ready to be done with Wakanda yet. Like, I needed more Wakanda in my blood. Like, it was so good. Like, it was so, so good. And I knew I wanted even my expectations of Black Panther and like carrying the movie. Like, she exceeded my expectations, honestly.
The thing about Shuri, I just felt like she couldn't do it. And leaving the theater, I'm like, well, I guess they showed you.
Letitia was like, boop.
Boop ho. Like, you thought, Erica, for real, like literally. And you know what? I accept every last bit of it. My hope for the film before I watched it, I was praying, like consistently praying. And y'all might think this is something trivial to pray for, but I don't care. I wanted Killmonger to return so bad, so bad. Like, low key, that was probably the only option for me to like think that they were going to be able to carry the franchise and just keep moving strong through it. I'm like, Killmonger got to come back. Shuri ain't gonna be able to carry it. The mama gonna do it? No. I love Angela, but no. I had all of these thoughts, and then also, which let's touch on this really quick. I try to tune out a lot, but I did start to see the whole recast T'Challa conversation online, and that pissed me off going into the theater, and that also lowered my expectations as well. Even though they announced they were not going to do it, like all of the discourse around that really bothered me because people were just making these ridiculous arguments for why we needed to replace this irreplaceable person. And let me turn my Wi-Fi.
Hopefully I thought it was just my internet that's doing that.
I think it's mine.
Okay. Yeah, no, you're clearing up now. A little bit.
Sorry, y'all. But for them to, like you said, the cinematography is great. Ruth again came with the costumes. Like, how did you even exceed yourself from the first one? I don't know, but you did it. Cool. Story, like that's one thing that Black Panther as a superhero franchise has over so many of the others, whether it's in the Marvel universe or outside of it, is that they actually tell really strong stories. It's not just about a bunch of shit blowing up and people fighting. Like there's actually nuance and like strong plots and A story and B, like there's all this stuff put into the superhero movie. It's not just a bunch of celebrities and superhero costumes with a bunch of things blowing up that we just gonna call it cool. Mm-hmm. Yes, I'm talking to you, Black Adam. And then the way that they were able to tackle all of the things, they were able to address the recast T'Challa discourse. They brought him on the back in a way that I didn't even think about, and I'm like, bet, well, you even gave me what I wanted, and I had wanted him to be this, but I got to see him, so that's all that matters. You were also able to position Shuri in a way for her to excel, because I still don't think that her character by itself was interesting enough to carry a 3-hour movie. But when you saddle on the grief of multiple family members' deaths, now this becomes okay, what is this girl finna do? And I gotta watch it. So like, understanding all of that and like really like Ryan Coogler is completely brilliant. The way that he chose to not only show the story but tell the story. I am still beside myself. And again, y'all, I have seen it 4 times. And I'm buying the digital. I will be buying the Blu-ray actually, so don't even sleep. Like that just is what it is. Photos and videos of Chadwick Boseman in the movie really had me in my feelings. When I said everybody in the theater got silent, I mean you couldn't even hear a pin drop. Yes, yeah, and that too. Like how you create a superhero movie that also does a phenomenal job of giving reverence to the person who launched this character into this world in a beautiful way.
It was really beautiful.
Unfathomable. And we get to
it was really beautiful.
Watch it.
It was really beautiful. So I avoided all of that recast T'Challa, but what was the like main point of like their argument? Like what were their 3 main points? Like why did they insist on that?
Is that better?
Yes. Now you came back. Did you hear my question?
Yes, you asked what was the recast T'Challa discourse, right?
Yeah. I avoided it because for me there was no option to even do that. So like I don't even care.
The number one thing was people saying, well, T'Challa as a character has so much more story to tell to pull from the comic books. And if we don't recast him, then y'all are just saying that we won't ever see any of the stuff that he goes on to do. And some of that is like, I know that Killmonger comes back to life in the comics. I don't read the comics, and most of people who watch Marvel films don't read the comics. So you comic book lovers, I get it, but then also the movies don't actually be for y'all.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
that's
if
true.
you're gonna call a thing,
Mm-hmm.
the movies are for the mass. So like, relax. So they wanted, it's like T'Challa at some point actually dates or marries Storm from the X-Men. And they're like, well, we're going to miss all of that because we don't have Chadwick. That's not fair to the character of T'Challa, yada, yada, yada. And again,
womp, womp, womp.
Ron Miller and his brilliance figured out a way around that. Like, yes, we do get to retire T'Challa Senior. And now look, now y'all get the rest of y'all little booty stories that you want to hear and see or whatever. And I watched this, I actually really love this YouTuber. His name is FD Signifier, and he was doing a collab with another like film YouTuber. And hey, Holloman, welcome in. Hey, Antonio, welcome in. And the guy, I like posted in the chat or whatever, like talking to them, like, I don't think it's a big deal to consider retiring a character tied to a specific person. They do it in basketball. And the guy was like, well, they don't retire everyone's jerseys in basketball. And I was just like, exactly, they retire the exceptional ones. Hence, Chadwick. Like, tell me that you get it, but you're being
obtuse.
Ignorant without telling me that you're being selectively ignorant. He's even Kobe of this. So don't don't argue with me about that. If you come with a stronger point than that. They don't retire every basketball player number. I know. I'm not running around here telling y'all to retire Ant-Man or I don't know. And then also, nobody said boo. Well, not nobody said boo because people were mad. I'm still mad. Iron Man and Captain America got to get up out of there, and they still living. I brought that up too. So that was basically the thing. They were like, "Oh, well, you can't restrict this character and the rest of the story that's told within the universe just because this person passed." And I'm like, in theory, yes, but when you're Chadwick, it's different. It's just,
they're choosing to ignore the like what he brought to the character. Like nobody else could have brought that character to life the way that he did. Like nobody else could have done it. Like literally he started a phenomenon with this character. Like, so you can't just bring some random person and be like, yep, this is our new T'Challa. No, like I refuse. I don't accept.
And I was seeing all this, well, they've recasted Batman and they've recasted Superman, and I was just like, and DC is still dumb. So what do you
And I don't care about DC. I don't watch DC movies. Like, I don't watch it on purpose anyway. So.
Christian Bale will forever be my Batman. So what do y'all even tell us?
That trilogy lives on for me forever. That's the best trilogy ever, and that's where I stop. Like, I'll watch some X-Men here and there. I liked Wolverine, his character. I liked Storm. I like Rogue. She was my favorite DC character. But that's about it. Like, their comics don't do the same as Marvel. Like, it just doesn't do the same for me. Like, their superhero stuff.
And then I also, speaking of that, like, I also feel like I went into Black Panther really like this. Because also, I feel like Marvel is in a state of being a shit show right now. Like, I am so underwhelmed by the films that they have been putting out. I am overwhelmed by the television series that they keep rolling out that we gotta watch, but then nothing actually really ties together, so you don't need to know this. I don't know who asked for it, but I didn't ask for She-Hulk.
Right. I don't want to watch that one. I'm not watching that.
I get we trying to be all we love women and whatnot, but also
No.
I didn't ask for She-Hulk.
No, you don't need a She-Hulk. I did like Miss Marvel.
So look, twerking with her, I guess, but I didn't ask for it, and I'm not gonna watch it.
Did you watch Miss Marvel? That one was actually really good.
Not.
And the one for Hawk.
But you know what ruined that for me?
What?
Captain Marvel. Is that her name?
Yeah. There's a Captain Marvel, yeah.
Anything with Marvel in it, I don't know. I don't trust it. Because I didn't like Captain Marvel. I don't like the character. I don't like Brie as her. Nothing about it. It's me. I know that Miss Marvel has nothing to do with it, but also I was just like, no, you don't get me again.
I think you'll like it. I think you would like it if you watched it. It's very different from Captain Marvel. And the little girl's likable. She's really likable.
They also have they're really rolling out way too much, way too soon. It's too many people for me to try to keep up with. But we have forever now, so I can just rewatch that and I can just say that is Phase 4 of Marvel and nothing else, if you ask me.
The only thing that like I felt like I picked up on from another show was from Falcon. I forgot the name of the show. Captain America and the Falcon?
And the Winter Soldier.
That one. That the General Okoye was not the one that came to get the guy that killed the king.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh, that's how she becomes the general that then comes to get this guy instead of Okoye. Mm-hmm. That's the only part that I was like, oh, you had to have you didn't really have to because it didn't matter, but like that's why.
Like little
yeah.
things. But 1 through 3, Phase 1 through 3, you could not miss nothing because you would be like having holes in moving forward. Also, the director lady, she first popped up there, I believe, to get
Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Yeah, to go get fake Captain America.
I forgot about that.
The little rogue Avengers that's gonna pop up. The way that they are rolling, there's so much. Like I'm like, are y'all like trying to be Game of Thrones at this point, and we just got 82 characters that y'all want to make us keep track with? Because I really just can't right now.
Yeah. But I feel like Black Panther is like its own universe. Like it's its own,
and I love
its own thing. Yeah, and it's great. Like it's its own thing, and it's amazing that way.
Oh, Naya's here! Yay,
Naya!
Honestly, Black Panther is what saved the Phase 4 for me.
Hi, y'all. Hi, everyone. I'm late. I'm sorry.
You're fine.
Me and my mom are catching up with somebody. Some stuff. Anyways.
No worries.
No worries at all.
We are just talking our initial thoughts before we went into the theater. How did we have any expectations or hopes or whatever, and then what we thought coming out of the theater.
Nice. Dag, I missed all of those. You guys give me a clip notes.
No, what's yours? I want to know what yours are. Did you have expectations?
Okay, before going to I've seen it twice. I'm wondering if I should go see it another time. But I've seen it twice, and before I went to go see it, I was excited to see it. And so going into it, I didn't think it was going to be anything less of excellent, but I guess you just have to see it because I didn't know how the story was going to be weaved. I didn't know what was going to happen. Remember like before even the trailers came out, like I think everybody was just like, I mean, how am I gonna do this, child? Like it's a big undertaking, which I think a lot of people don't understand and don't give that man credit for, because they crafted something real. I think it was Ryan Coogler and then someone else who wrote with him. I can't think of his name, but so before going in, I was excited, but I just didn't know what it was gonna be. And I think just also not excited, but I think relieved that we were all going to have the chance to release it for the last time and like let go truly. And so, yeah, I mean, I didn't have any expectations. because I just felt like it was going to rise to the occasion regardless of what I was going to see. I was a believer in that. I don't feel like a lot of people were, but I was one of the few people that was like, this is going to be amazing regardless of what comes out. So then after, oh Lord, I think I was in awe. Like, I think I told y'all, like, even watching the movie, I think I wasn't as emotional. That was surprising. I wasn't as emotional as I thought I was going to be. Like, as soon as the movie opens up, it's like they go right into it. And it felt like for me more, I don't know, to finally face it, like, you know, like that was the way that they opened up the movie with his, you know, his funeral. And it was more of a celebration and not like this dreary thing. So I think I was just in that, like, it being a celebration. And then they got me a little bit, like, when, you know, Sherry got emotional, and like that was like, I was like, oh, okay. But they didn't get me there. But I think it wasn't until the very end, like, and I mean like the post credits, where I just was like boo-hoo crying, because I think that was like, they got me good with that little boy child.
I cried first time. I cried 3 distinct times.
Yeah.
The funeral, Angela, and the son.
Yeah, I didn't cry. I really, they didn't get me. Like, I was keeping it together because I think I was just in awe. I really think I was really in awe of what they put together, because that movie is a masterpiece in a lot of ways. And I was just like, I mean, what the fuck? Like, I was just like, damn, like, this is so good. Like, I was just like, I wanted to be in every single moment. So like my first watch, I was like, I didn't cry until the end. Like, they got me with you know, the son, because that was like completely unexpected, and it was like the right way to continue T'Challa's legacy, not just the Black Panther. But like throughout the whole film, I was just like mouth open, like, oh my God. I was like, damn, they're not taking their foot off my neck, and I'm just here like. So, and then the second time, I think I probably had processed like all of the, like, the sadness at least. So watching it the second time, I was just really looking for new things that maybe I didn't pick up on the first time. But that post-credit scene gets me every time. Like, you know, every time my lip starts to quivering. But yeah, that was surprising to me. I wasn't as emotional as I thought I was going to be, because maybe I had processed Chadwick's passing beforehand, like, you know, by little pieces. So I was really just watching the movie, like, and really trying to take in all of it. So usually people who crying, they get me. Like, I don't know, like, I'm a sap, but I think I was more focused on the visuals, and then the music, and then just like the performances, and like what these characters were gonna do.
Not them pulling Rihanna out of retirement to give us a ballad, and I was just like, well, I did say I would listen to this girl sing the Popeyes anthem, so I'm gonna go ahead with this ballad. And then that damn song come on, it's like, oh.
I was like, Rihanna, wait. And then they got Rihanna sounding different. Like, Rihanna just sounds like, I don't know, she's on this different, like wait.
To the king, honey, like.
I was like, wait a minute, y'all did something. This is like some sorcery, because there ain't no way like that. This, like, no, like, yeah.
Tata asked y'all agree with them killing Queen Ramonda, because I was like, no, not Angela Bassett.
I was mad that they killed her, but I understood the purpose towards the story. But I was so sad. I'm like, we're not gonna have Angela next time? No. Oh, come on.
The way that she had to holler that she had lost everything.
Oh my God. Every time
we lose her, I was like, I felt like I was sitting in the theater like.
Yeah. No. It was like,
I almost yelled, not the queen. And I was like, I'm in the.
Yeah, I know. I was like, really like, like, I really want to do that so loud. Like, me and my mom were like, that was a little bit of overkill. Like, it kind of felt like that, but then it was like, okay, like Melissa said, you understood why they needed to just take us to the bottom of the pits of despair. They had to take us there.
I don't know. Like, I mean, I trust Ryan Coogler, so I'm here. But like, I think I still feel away. So I'm really glad that you asked that question, Sasha. I thank you. Because no, I don't agree with it, and I feel like I want to be on Namor's head to the end of time. For it,
I'm still on his head.
It's still on his head. Ain't no want.
I still am. We might be at a treaty right now, but I'm still on your head. I don't like you.
But so I went to go see it with me, my mom, and her boyfriend, and at the end they were just like, I mean, I get it, but like, some people just need to die. Like, Namor should have been dead. Like,
Right.
why are we talking like you killed my mom, Negro? Like, no, like, you killed my mother, and then like, it's just the way that he came in with like aggression. Like, I get it if like you needed like Wakanda, like you needed their support, but you just came in with like you with the smoke. So then why the hell is Wakanda gonna want to help you? They got their own shit to deal with. Like, you're not the only ones dealing with the colonizers. Like, you think they're not dealing with the colonizers too? And they don't got no protection. Like, what are you thinking of? And then like, you're gonna come in, like, hold the princess hostage, and then
Expect
like, that's
them not to come get her.
It was just disrespectful. And then like, the way that he was still running his mouth, Shuri is like off her last fucking eyeball, like really about to like, jump into the damn water with her mother, and you just the way he was just talking, I was just like, oh my god, she should have killed his ass at the end. I'm sorry, like, they should have just
picked a new king. I would have helped you pick a new king.
Why she didn't kill him? Because if
understand.
she killed him, there would have been no Shuri left. Like,
yeah, I get it.
There wouldn't have been a Shuri after that. That would have been a whole new person. So I get that, but also you literally killed the queen. And okay, so now this conversation is going rogue and it's no structure. So we just gonna go with it. Okay, questions that y'all want to add?
I will. Okay, yeah. You know what's funny? Because I read an interview with Angela Bassett, and I don't know if you guys read it too, but she said that she wasn't happy necessarily that was the choice. And Ryan was like, no, just basically, just trust me, like, you know, just trust me. And she's just like, all right, but she's just like, I don't know about that. So it was nice to hear that Angela also was just like, what are you doing that for? But I trust Ryan Coogler. I trust him, but it was like overkill. Like, damn, like, in the same movie, like, you couldn't have waited until the next one, maybe. Like, I would understand if you had to do it in Black Panther 3 or 4, but damn, like,
right.
Oh Lord, it just kept hitting us. Like, we just kept getting hit with wave after wave after wave.
Yeah.
But this brings me to what I do think is probably like my only, and I can't even call it like, well, it is criticism. It's not negative, but it's like what I observed and what I was just like, Because again, I think the film is brilliant. I think that Ryan Coogler is brilliant.
Yes.
And for me, when I really sat down and thought about it after watching it 4 times, Namor is basically a Mesoamerican killmonger. Like, wash and repeat. The exact same plot, the exact same motive, the exact same everything, except for the world that he was fighting for is underwater.
That's so true. I hadn't even thought of that.
Girl. You know what's funny? Because we talked about, before I went to go watch it, it was when you were saying that some of, how do you call them? I'm just gonna say this, the place. Some of Telecon's, their whole aesthetic was giving. We've seen this before, from like, you know, the gesture that they would do to one another, and then just like their chant, you know, like, it was giving, and there was, you know, it was when him and Sherry, they went through that little suction thingy, and I was like, I've seen that shit before too. That was like reflective of like the trains that they had like in the first movie. I don't know if you remember, like it's when at the end when they were
fighting.
Yes, it was. I don't know what Sherry had created where it was like if you turned it off, then their powers were whatever, the vibranium in their suits or whatever. That was given the same shit, and I was just like, okay. I mean, I understand like what representing the culture. I think they did it well, but I also felt like certain things were just it's the same thing but different label.
I think though an argument could be made that each culture has experienced the colonizer in the same way, right? So like it's not unheard of to have the same kind of like reaction of like at all costs we have to get rid of you or protect ourselves from you. So like I guess I get it, and I hadn't even put that together though, that the Namor and Killmonger were like the same person. But yeah, now I see
and
that.
that's honestly what like I think is making it okay for me in my head, because we both have the exact same struggle.
Yeah.
Just at a different part of the
Mm-hmm.
world with the same group of people,
Mm-hmm.
because they've been raggedy and they're gonna continue to be raggedy.
Yeah. Right. I get it. Like I understood the basis of it. I like we talked about. I understood Killmonger's argument too. It was just the extremity of like the lengths that you're going, which in hindsight is just perpetuating the same shit. It's like it's not solving anything. So I understood what Killmonger was saying. I mean, I guess I understood what Namor was saying as well. It's just I didn't like the smoke of what came to the Wakanda with in the first place, because there's a way where if you need their assistance, because you're not even asking what they're going through, which they're actually going through the same thing in terms of having to battle off all these other countries who now want their resource, like they're going through the same shit. And rather than just come to them with like, I don't know, like some kind of amicable energy, like you just came off with like, if you don't do this, then it's a wrap. And like, I'm God, so it's a wrap. And it's just like, okay, like why do I want to help you? Like I was just like, I'm not feeling it. Like you said, like you interrupt this intimate moment, and then you also ear hustling too on what the moment is, and then you come in here and like with the shits, and I didn't like the energy, and it just carried on where there was never a moment where I felt like I get it, but you're doing a lot. And then by the time you killed the queen off, I was like, I don't give a shit what you're talking about. You need to die. Like, I'm sorry. Like, oh, now you killing people. Okay, then no. Like, I don't care. Like,
on purpose? So raggedy colonizers is looking for vibranium. Now you come in here and kill people on purpose?
Yeah.
I think I'm so caught off guard by the audacity for him to go to the queen like that.
Yeah. Exactly how I felt. I was just like, oh wow, oh okay.
Like, I get tear up some stuff and like let us know you're not playing, but like you killed the queen.
When they had already done that, they had already torn up Wakanda. Like, what else do you need? What do you need? Like,
and also like you had no reason to be mad at them. Like you asked them to do something, they did it. You didn't give them a chance to even hand that girl over to you. You just came in fighting. Like you didn't even see if they were gonna keep like if they were gonna follow your instructions and then be mad. No, you came in like guns a-blazing, trying to take the girl. Like, come on now. Like I was mad. Well, I didn't like it.
Like in my like characterization of like Killmonger and Namor are basically the same person in different cultures. Do we think that Killmonger would have killed Queen Ramonda?
I don't think so.
For some reason, no, because I feel like even in the first movie, like he could have just killed all of them off. Like he could have just killed all of the Wakandans off, and then just built his own shit. But he literally came in there. He wanted the throne. He got the throne. And it was like, okay, well, we're just gonna, change this whole thing up and do it differently. But I think understanding that this is my homeland. Like my father was from here, and so there's some kind of connection. I might not like what happened, but this is still of me. So I don't know. I don't feel like he would have went to those lengths.
I think he wanted them to accept him.
Yeah.
I think a part of him wanted to come there. He wanted to kill T'Challa because, of course, T'Challa's father killed his father, so he couldn't kill the father. Right. He had to kill him. But I think he wanted in his mind for them to accept him, for him to become like the king they didn't know that they needed. And so eventually, like he would become loved. He would become loved. I don't think he would have killed the queen. I think that he wanted that to be his auntie. He wanted them all to be his aunties.
Yeah, because like I think I'm just remembering the first movie. Like he could have very easily, like they got away. Could have very easily been like, y'all need to find them and they need to be gone. But he was just like got the throne and was straight to business. Like was trying to shift the vibranium out. Like I think he had a very one-track mind of what he wanted to do, and it didn't necessarily mean killing all the Wakandans or killing his aunt or his cousin. Like I don't think that was his motivation. T'Challa, yes, because he was just guilty by association, unfortunately. So the fruit of the poison.
Interesting, Melissa. You're saying that he was going to kill T'Challa regardless. I think if T'Challa would have yielded, I don't think he would have killed him.
I think he would. I think he would have.
I think so. I think the hate was just gone way past that. He couldn't even see straight. Like this has nothing to do with T'Challa, but I think because T'Challa was then king, and then also was perpetuating the same thing that his father did, were like keeping them a secret and keeping the vibranium secret. Like I think it was just like, I think he was always going to kill T'Challa if he had the chance. Unfortunately, I don't think he didn't want smoke with nobody. It was T'Challa. Like
he lived the life he felt like he could have lived if they hadn't left him behind. So like there was also that envy, that jealousy there. Like,
which I think T'Challa understood. Like I think he always understood once he found out the truth that it was always going to be an issue. Like the time for them to like come together and like be on the same team, that was his father took that away from them, unfortunately. Right. So
Tata says the difference between Namor and Killmonger is that Namor literally has a whole nation and group of people on his shoulders to protect, whereas Killmonger didn't. I think Killmonger should have focused on trying to unite Black people across the globe. I think that's what he was trying to do.
In his own way, it's what he was trying to. He just wanted, understood what he was trying to say. Like, he just wanted Black people all over the globe to be able to have the means to protect themselves, to defend themselves in a way that has not been afforded to Black people since the beginning of slavery. So I think that was it was more of a violent approach. It was like, well, once you get these weapons, you already know what's going to happen. So it was more of like the violent way of trying to give Black people their own power and their own agency.
Yeah. I think Killmonger was moving like a general without an army, but with the understanding of like he's supposed to be leading Black people across the globe. So while he didn't technically have a whole nation on his back, he carried himself like he did, which I think is what was like tied to like every kill, and he remembered every kill, and he know that every kill was for a reason to get him to this particular point so that he could be in a position to actually do something for all Black people, not just Wakandan Black people.
The statement of like his girlfriend at the beginning,
I think it froze.
But like you said, Erica, he says that every kill it's not something that wasn't marked or like remembered. All of that in his mind was for a purpose. Like this is a small price to pay to do what needs to be done. I'm not saying it's the right way to go about things, but it's just that was his reasoning.
I'm sitting here trying to unpack how I wasn't like fine with Killmonger, but like I understood it, and I was just like, well.
Well, hey,
all the way wrong. Weapon here, there, in this case or that case, so we were completely wrong. Like the only issue I had with Killmonger was that he killed T'Challa. Everything else, I was like.
But even that, what's crazy is like I rewatched the movie a lot, like the first one. Even with like, but I get it, like with this T'Challa, like like. we love T'Challa, but even still, like, they were in battle and he just won. So it's like, you can't really be mad at him because it's not like he killed him on station. Like, they were in a duel. T'Challa lost. Like, you know, not obviously he came back and, you know, the battle wasn't done. But in that moment, he fought T'Challa and T'Challa lost, and that was it. Like, he secured the throne the way he was supposed to through traditional customs. So even still, I was like, I'm like, damn, mofo, like, really it had to come down to this. But I'm just like, well,
he did win.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, before we get back on track. But Tata says, I think that Killmonger is just like Thanos. I disagree wholeheartedly. When people bring up the Thanos conversation, like, first of all, I think that Killmonger is one of the greatest villains of superhero all time.
Yes. I think so.
It's him. It's his name is escaping me now, but the dude who played the Joker, who was like amazing.
The Dark Knight. I mean, not the Dark Knight. That's a movie. Heath Ledger.
Heath Ledger.
He's the
like
epic.
They are like, for me,
like
just
legendary. Yeah.
Villain legends. I don't feel like Thanos is necessarily a villain legend. Like, Thanos is a formidable opponent, but I couldn't get behind, like, it's my job to depopulate the universe because we're getting too many people. Like, that's literally all he cared about. He just wanted to get rid of half of the people because it was just too many people in the universe.
And
not
he wanted to be the one to do it.
Not because the people that he was going to get rid of were oppressing the people that he was going to keep. He didn't even care. Like, he didn't even care who he was getting rid of or who he wasn't. Like,
he didn't discriminate good, bad, ugly, anything. Like, it was just bye.
Yeah, people were saying that, like, there's method to his madness. I'm like, well, is there? Because he's just like, he wants to, you know, wipe out half. I'm like, does he even know which half? Like, how do you know? Like, you just out here, like, being a villain with, like, no real structure. Like, it's just real off. So I was never with the majority, or not majority, but with the some people who are like, well, I mean, there was a method. I'm like, I get the whole famine and, like, you know, people dying, but how do you know that that's due to overpopulate? Like, it was just like, you out here doing stuff and you're supposed to be like, it's just supposed to be you, like, the ancestors blessed you with this one job that you have to do. It was just like, real, like, really, like,
and then you accomplish your goal and you go sit your behind and waste away in a cabin. like this was it. Like, I don't
know. You can't compare those at all.
Well, you could have spent the rest of your days going and eradicating and fighting wars for people who are misfortunate or oppressed or whatever. Like,
yeah,
they don't give me. He really should have been an Avenger, but he decided that he wanted to be a nobody in life. Like, he's the high school kid that decides he wants to sit out the side of school and do drugs.
Yeah, no.
Killmonger had a very specific reason, a purpose, an idea. Like, he had a, like, a, what's that thing called? Like, he had witnessed and he had experienced the suffering that he was talking about. Like, it's not like he was imagining something. Like, no, he experienced it. He lived through it. He saw it all over the world. So he was like, nah, let's do something about this. And he felt like they weren't.
Which is why I think we all could understand his smoke, like, looking at all, you know, all of the elders and looking at all of, like, them, like, you've just been sitting in this bubble and, like, you have the resources and you just have been sitting here while I've been here. I understand it. I was like, well, I was like, really, through the whole time, like, well, like, like, this just shaky out. Well, like, what do you want to do?
Playing him, so I'm also like,
well, you could have gotten anybody and you chose Michael B. Jordan. So what do you want me to do? Like,
right. I don't make the rules.
I don't make the rules. I just apply.
Like, they automatically were gonna have me listen to whatever he was gonna say.
Like, he took off his shirt. I was like, whatever he says goes. I don't know what to tell you.
When I tell y'all, I was like really praying for him to be the new Black Panther. I was just like, this is perfect. They could have Namor and whoever the hell he got in the ocean pull his body up from the depths of the sea because he wanted to be buried in the sea, and that makes total sense. And now we have this party, and now Shuri can go ahead and figure out what you're gonna do about this herb. And yes, she can have smoke because he shouldn't have burnt all of it, but we'll deal with that when he comes back to life.
Right. Yeah. I think you had some people there. My uncle was the same way. He was like, I think it should be Killmonger, and I was like, okay. And then I heard his reasoning. I was like, you know what? I mean, I would be here for it. Like, it would be compelling. Like, you know, because there's so many ways that you could go. It would be like, I don't know. It would just be a really complex story that would be really dope. But I also had no qualms, no problems, no gripes with how it was handled. I think it was the way that it was handled. And Letitia did what she needed to do. I mean, I don't know. That's all that can be said. There was a lot put on her shoulders to have to carry, and then Shuri as the character, like, to see just the evolution in just one movie, like with every step that she takes in that movie, it's like propelling her to this one place where it just felt inevitable ultimately. Because in the beginning, I still didn't see it. I was like, ooh, I don't know. I didn't even I didn't even know if they were gonna set it up where she would be. Like, I honestly didn't have any expectations in that sense that it would be Shuri. Like, everybody was like, oh well, I mean, I think it's gonna be Shuri, but in the beginning for me, I still didn't see it. It wasn't until midway where I was like, oh, okay, yeah,
Somebody got
to do it, child.
You got enough rage to go ahead and go for it.
Yeah. So, but she just, I mean, I was just in awe, like, honestly, because I just felt like with every move there was a purpose. Like, you were with her on this journey of like grief, but she's not really grieving. She's not really processing it. She's just thrusting herself into the next thing, and you're just waiting for it to like cement. Like, girl, like I thought her performance was impeccable. All of the women, honestly, the women carried this movie. Like, this was for the women's, child, for the Black women's, because
you don't go and make a She-Hulk. I'm sorry, Disney.
No.
This is how you do it. This is what needs to be done. When you want to support women and highlight women, this is how you do it. Don't go make some random ass character that nobody asked for.
It's like Ryan created it, and then they just propelled it and took it to where it needed to be, and Ryan trusted them to do that. And like, from, you know, Letitia to Denai to Lupita, and then I loved Winston's role in it too. Like, I think he had a really subtle, really important role as well. Like, I loved the addition of Michaela Cole, and I just thought all of the way Angela's Angela.
Riri, they get the phase 1 through 3 introductions of characters versus popping people out with their own shows, and I don't even know or care about them to be able to go and watch a show. Now we're back to seeding characters into things that we care about so that we can get attached to them before they go and premiere some stuff for them.
Yeah. Yes. How did I even forget about Riri? I mean, I love Riri's character. Dominique Thorne loved it. I thought she was a great balance to Shuri as well. Like, just to have like another person on Shuri's wavelength in that sense, where they could like both were able to contribute to what needed to be done to, you know, get him to, you know, be on the same playing field. But
yeah,
I was just in awe of the performances. Like, it was just like, Lord, like, this is what an ensemble cast looks like, child. Like, nobody just passing the baton to each other. And it's just, it was, yeah. But I was perfectly content walking away from that theater and being like, Shuri got it now.
She acted her ass off. Like they said in the comments, she acted her ass off. I think
she has it now. Because
I'm gonna pull up. I'm pulling up because it's real personal. Like it's feeling like not on the week before Christmas.
Yeah, like what is that feature in our in our messages now with the little people up at the top?
Oh my God,
like
AIM statuses.
Notes. Like
I know. I saw that today. I was like, what the hell?
length of the lives? I don't understand. Anywho, what I was about to say before Instagram wanted to be a raggedy hoe.
April.
No, Tata. Unfortunately, Instagram only does hour-long lives now, or 45 minutes. Between 45 minutes and an hour, it'll automatically just cut off on you. Sometimes it'll give you notice, sometimes it won't. And this time it didn't give me no damn notice. Anywho.
But you only think Sherry's got it in her for 2 movies?
Because I think, not because of her as a character, but because of the story that they are setting themselves up to tell for like the next 6 movies. I think that's something that we said because M'Baku is king now. I think that like there's just so much they're really about to explore. My question for y'all is, why do you think that Shuri got Killmonger when she went to the ancestral plane?
I thought of it as because one, she didn't really believe it was real when she went into it. Like she wasn't really like believing that she would see an ancestor. But also because I think she was so angry. Like I think she was like she was like that's how I interpret it. I was like, she's just very angry. Like she didn't grieve, she just was mad. She was mad that she lost her brother and now she lost her mother. And I think her energy was channeling his energy. Like they were on the same wavelength.
I mean, that's how I interpreted it. I knew for reason I didn't think she was gonna get. I mean, obviously she wasn't gonna get her brother because I don't know how they would have worked that. But I didn't think she was gonna get her mother. I don't know really what I was expecting. I wasn't expecting him though for some reason. I was like, I saw him.
Honestly.
Oh,
I was expecting no one. I thought she wouldn't see anyone.
I was like,
I was expecting Daddy.
I think maybe that's what it was. I think I was expecting it to be the dad. Because I'm telling you, when he popped up in that chair, I was like,
first of all, ooh, the locks. Can he lock his hair? Like I was like, Lord Jesus, how? Why? How? Like what?
I was questioning the Lord in many ways. I was like, first of all, what? And then I was like, what?
But I was like, but what?
He looked good. I know. I was like, what? Like, oh, it was just too much. I was like, Lord, I can't do it. Like, too much. But he did look good too, and I was just like, oh,
damn. That's all I kept saying was damn. Like, what the hell, damn.
But that makes sense. Her seeing him because of her being in a similar state to where he was. What disappointed me though, but I guess she needed it, so okay, cool. But what disappointed me though is like, sir, you're sitting in the ancestral plane and you still ain't learned shit.
Right.
How the fuck break that? And you ain't learned a damn thing.
I was like, wait a minute. That was another
but
thing.
Wait, if you
like,
notice,
how did you get here? Like,
if you notice, I don't know if they were in the same ancestral plane, because if you notice, it was like a red tinge to his, and when they went to the other one, like it was more like sunset and like nice scenery and stuff.
But the
so
like fire came as they were like revealing him. So when it started, it was very dark. It was very like
it looked like normal, like purplish. Like
I
was
think
like,
it was different because it wasn't outdoors. It wasn't by that tree. Like I feel like it was different. I feel like that they meant it to be like a different like vibe.
Well, I think it was where it was because of significance. Like that was where Queen Ramonda died. So I think that's why it was in there. It could have been anywhere, but I just think specifically for that scene, it needed to be in that setting and it needed to be him. But I don't think it was in my opinion, think it was any different than the first movie. It's just, it was a different tone. So that's why it was there. But I was just like, Erica, I don't know how you got, I was like, sir, how you get clearance? And then you still like, this is like, you know, we're supposed to evolve in different phases and you still in phase 1. Like, how are you here?
Tata's
Does
comment?
that make you finer?
Yeah. I just read it. I was like, does that make you finer?
I guess. So yeah, that's the same thing that Melissa got from it. I got that too. Like, you know, I don't know if there was a debate of if she chose him. I don't know if she necessarily I think in her mind, she wanted to see her family. She wanted to be with her family, but I think that's just the person who came there because that's the state that she was in. So I don't know if I agree with some of the sentiments that that's who she chose. I think he even said, like, I don't know if he alluded to, like, you chose me, like, why? Or I don't know if it was something like that, but I think that's just the person who reflected where she was at. It could understand that need for revenge. But she didn't believe in it, so you can't choose somebody if she didn't believe in it to begin with.
Yeah, I'm also thinking, like, in the other times that we've seen the ancestral plane, there were Black Panthers like hanging around that alluded to other members of their lineage or like ancestors that had passed, and like she got nobody, no cats except for Killmonger and his finance dreadlocks. Like,
but you know what? I think there's something to be said about that too. Sorry to cut you off, because I feel like we saw it with T'Challa's because that's what he was preparing for. Like, he was ready for that. So I think that being like in the background, like all of these Black Panthers, like, you know, in the legacy, that's something that I think he was prepared to see. Whereas for her, that was never the road she was supposed to be on. She didn't believe in any of that. Like, that was all her brother's undertaking. So it would make sense that she would be alone there, you know, I just reflecting her mindset. But then also, you know, this is a girl that just didn't believe in any of this, so, you know, not accepting of it, so you wouldn't necessarily see all of that. It'd just be you there, and then Killmonger, like, that was, you know, like we said, that reflected her mindset. So
she said, I think she saw Killmonger because it was a mirror of the person she would eventually become if she continued on the path of vengeance and revenge. Yeah, I could see that. Because then that's when she heard her mom's voice and she was about to, like, go through with, like, her vengeance plan.
And that, you know, and that was like the true, I guess, in your what you're saying, Melissa, that was the ancestral plane that we're used to seeing.
and then when you go back to like certain the visual, when they're at the Jabari camp and he's brought back, so he goes back to the ancestral plane that second time. He also presented with like he has to make a decision between, like, make a change, and like he has to confront his dad because now he's deviating from that plan. So like that makes sense. Okay, before we finish talking about the ancestral plane and everyone who we have again at any point moving forward.
Yeah.
You broke up a little bit, so I didn't.
Queen Ramonda or anybody else who's currently in the ancestral plane moving forward in the series. Can y'all hear me?
It broke up again, even worse.
Yeah, it broke up worse that time. Kind of.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
A little bit better that time, yeah.
Do we think we're going to see Queen Ramonda, Killmonger, or anyone else in the ancestral plane again in the next film?
I think so.
I don't know about Killmonger. I think he's just, I don't know, for some reason he's just one of those characters where you just never know. Like, I didn't know in this one, so he just might pop up at the most impromptu times. Like, you're not expecting him and he's there, but there's for a purpose. Queen Ramonda, yes. I think for some reason I don't know if it's going to be in the ancestral plane or something else, but I definitely think, I don't know, Ryan Coogler, I'm not in his mind, but it just felt like that was very, because it was unexpected, and then just hearing Angela's interview about it, like, I think he's got other plans for that. So I think Queen Ramonda, we're definitely seeing her again. I don't know what space.
If it's not an ancestral plane, we did have a whole moment before Namor rudely interrupted how, when she was describing to Shuri how she found T'Challa in the wind and the breeze and like while walking. So we could see that. Okay, cool. Kofi asks, can we talk about Namor though and Ross' ex-wife? She definitely going to be the Nick Fury to set up the Thunderbolts. Is that what the little anti-Avengers are called, Thunderbolts?
Is that what her purpose is? Because I don't seem like she's about to be the next Nick Fury. She seems like a menace because she's been in several of them.
And, from what I could be wrong.
Well, that makes sense for her to do that.
But she's pulling together a little ragtag group of people that the government can control, because after all that we have seen, especially like after Civil War and all of that, the Avengers are not like property of the government like they want them to be, which is what we saw play out in, you know, Falcon and the Winter Soldier as well. It's the whole reason why they created Fakey. I just really just can't. I just can't live.
She was the worst.
Multiple fakies, actually, because they just kept on like popping them out like pills. I guess if that's her purpose, yes, but I'm tired of her ass with her purple stripe in her hair. Like, I'm just very tired of her. Like, she is the epitome of the government thinking. Like, y'all just are menaces, and it doesn't matter how you get the shit you want accomplished. It doesn't matter who gets affected in the process. It's just what y'all want. And I just can't stand her. Like, the whole time I was like, girl, I cannot stand you, honestly. And
I was just gonna say, I hate that it's Julia Louis-Dreyfus playing that character, because I absolutely love her. So I hate having to hate her. She does play it well.
She plays it well.
I hate that I have to hate her.
I just don't really like. I'm just like, is anybody else noticing the quiet part that even in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, these white people in power just feel like they should be in power and are entitled to any and everything on this God-green earth just because. Everybody else got hell to pay because they say no. So, wait, am I the only person who notices that?
No.
Like, and
no.
Shout out to the haters of Wakanda Forever who was talking about this was not realistic. There were no sanctions. First of all, the film starts out with the UN basically attempting to try to hold Wakanda accountable for not revealing or share vibranium, because they think that they can bully people into giving them things that they think that they have a birthright. Were y'all watching the movie, or were you watching the damn movie? Second of all,
they weren't.
Who the hell put y'all in charge? Like, I get it, y'all are leaders of great nations and all that, but outside your nation, like, who do you think you are?
That's how they've operated forever. So like it was just so true to form. Like, it's so true to, like, we demand everything that you have and we will plunder it, and then you will end up with nothing, and then we're not responsible for the fact that your country's struggling.
But there's not enough discourse for me about that. Like, it's discourse about everything, but nobody is talking about the big bad bully on the playground that keep punching kids in the face trying to take their ball.
Because people don't see it. Like, people just don't see it. They choose not to see it.
Like, the movie, I don't even, like, the movie opens up, and it was very realistic to how it is. Like, that's not fiction. Like, that is how it one little bit.
Most countries can't defend themselves, so they end up getting really exactly what they want.
You didn't feel like there wasn't a sanction there. You were mad that the sanction didn't do a goddamn thing.
Right.
You were mad that the little French soldiers walked in there and got their asses handed to them. That's what you're mad about.
Because that's really the reality. Would be the country would have ended up losing their resources, and like, you would have sanctioned them anyway, even though you got what you wanted, but just for show, you're gonna sanction them anyway.
You know what's funny is that like at the end of Black Panther, it's when they finally, you know, reveal themselves to the world. And I remember that's how the movie ends. Like one of the leaders of one of the nations basically asked T'Challa, like, well, what can Wakanda offer the world? So we get from that to here, well, now y'all understand what Wakanda can offer, and now you want to bully them into giving it to you. It's just like real, like, how the
but it's
tables
not even
turn.
asking. And it's not even asking.
You still
like,
lost.
if they were asking, it's one thing, but you're not asking. You're doing things low key to take it, and then you want to pretend like you're doing things the right way with asking.
And let's get past the fact that you're basically trying to steal off some idea that you're entitled to this thing because you see it and you want it. What are y'all planning to do with it?
Destroy Wakanda first.
But like, why do you need vibranium? You have been living for thousands of years without it. Why do you need vibranium now? I'm waiting. Like, you don't.
You know why? You know it would only
No, you really don't need it, but
you don't need it, but you know, they don't need it, but it would only further enhance what they've already done. So of course they want it
because I think if they were to go to war with vibranium, the what's that thing? The ripple effect won't affect them versus they have, if they use their nukes, which is what the superpowers hold on to, right? The ripple effect is going to affect you too. That's why you don't use them, right? Like nobody's used a nuke because it affects more than just the country you nuke. So like with vibranium, the end result wouldn't be the same. Like you could destroy a country.
All of the take vibranium, then you're
just gonna destroy each other.
All develop nuclear bombs behind each other. Mm-hmm. You don't need it.
You don't need it. You really
just
don't.
Want it. You saw it and you wanted it.
That's it. But you still like that's the funny part is you tried and you were unsuccessful because y'all got your asses handed to you. So
it's greed.
Yeah,
I'm going to
very realistic. So I don't know what the hell people are talking about.
And like for the MCU to have a huge majority base, a huge base of followers who are of the Caucasian persuasion. Are y'all gonna talk about it or are you not? And this might be the worst time for me to be having this conversation because I literally just binged Harry and Meghan last night and I'm on the Queen's head. Rest in peace, but also
oh girl, ain't no resting and no peace, girl. That it should have happened sooner. Sorry. I don't care about that lady. Oh my god, we gotta talk about that too. We will talk about that off camera. Because I watched it and girl,
understand.
I got to talk to Megan. We just gotta have a picnic chat with her. But we'll talk about that.
Understand colonialism, especially now, like in 2022. So like in the frame of this film, right? Y'all have superheroes that are saving your world from universal threats, that are also intervening on intercontinental and local issues. You have everything from the neighborhood Spider-Man to Iron Man jumping to Abu Dhabi to do some stuff. Why can't y'all be content? Like, it boggles my mind how the colonizer mindset is so dead set on creating and moving the world to chaos and self-destruction. Like, you don't realize that you are not just going to destroy your enemies. At some point, you go too. Like, do you not see that?
That's the funny thing with colonialism, you know, using black bodies first, and then you have brown bodies. So you have black and brown bodies to do what you need to do. And then it starts becoming white on white crime. So then like it's like you really it doesn't even contain at some point. Like then you start doing the same shit to each other, and it's like
had to do any of it to begin. Like I'm just like
No, it was all very
Princess.
unwarranted.
Vibranium to do what with? Y'all don't even have the capacity to do anything with it. If they gave you a hunk of a vibranium and set it on the damn table tomorrow, y'all would sit there for the next 15 years trying to figure out how to re-engineer it.
Longer than that.
They couldn't even figure out a way to transport that shit. Like, it was underwater and they still couldn't get it. Like,
so at what point do we actually start focusing on things that actually
matter?
No point.
It's crazy because I thought it was depicted very well. Like, that is how it is. If we were physically in the UN, that's the type of shit that happens. Like,
authentically, but for people to have discourse around the things they had discourse around, I'm just like, so we gonna ignore the elephant.
People can't, like, you can't please everybody. There's always going to be the people that find like the stupidest thing to be upset about.
I don't know what gripes you could have with this movie unless you're just hateful.
But
the one that you had
colonizers are inherently
valid.
Adverse to this film because it puts you on Front Street again.
I mean, well, what do you want us to do? Like,
you did the evil, so I don't know what you want.
It's your actions. It's crazy how you could do some shit, and then when it gets depicted, we're going off of the material you gave us. All of a sudden, you want to be offended because it's what you did. Like, what the hell?
Like,
it's not.
First of all, the way you present it is wrong, but you gave us the material. Like, you did the stuff. Like, what do you want us to do? And you would continue doing it.
Like, what?
If people hadn't fought back, and you would continue doing it now, even today in 2022. You would continue doing it. You've learned nothing, which is why we need to talk about it.
Right. I watched an interview with all of them. I think they were on one of the DJ shows. I forgot which one it was. But they were, the cast was there with Ryan, and Winston said one thing that stood out. And he was just like, as soon as they put us on those slave ships, this Black Panther was going to be made. Like, that was the outcome. Like, it was all leading to this place where the stories were going to get told in the ways that it happened from Black people. So if you're mad, then you're mad. Like, but what do you want us to do? Like, you're just gonna cry. But it really does suck, which I think is what you're going to, Erica, is that those voices are like so loud. And it really keeps us from being in the moment where we can just enjoy this for what it is. Like, this is a story. Our story is being told by us. And it's very reflective of real life history. And it's like, you know, the colonizer voice just is loud. And it's just like,
loud, trying to have conversations, but don't want to have a conversation, that only conversation that actually needs to be had by y'all. Like, if we about the colonizer, I don't want to
only one.
Right.
I don't.
No. That you wanna complain about how the shit's depicted. Like, a colonizer is a colonizer is a colonizer. Colonialism is colonialism is colonialism. Doesn't matter what label you put on it. Like, give me a break.
So going back to the film,
honestly,
clearly I've deviated just a tad bit. Naya, you made a point earlier where you talked about feeling like Talokan and the journey into Talokan when Shuri goes for the first time was reminiscent to like the trains and stuff in Wakanda, which I could totally see that. And Tata made a point, which was great, because they both have access to vibranium. It makes sense that they were able to build similar things. I actually felt something completely different in seeing it, and I really enjoyed that sequence in the film because it took me to a place. It took me to the movie Avatar from the music, like from the score of like when it starts, like the music is perfect during that sequence of the film, where like how they're actually exploring and how things are actually revealed. I thought it was really, really dope. I don't want to do like a super ton of comparison, but one thing I was really like nervous about, and knowing that we were going under the sea and like they were giving a dupe to Atlantis or whatever, I was like, oh God, we're about to get an Aquaman, and I felt like Aquaman was horrible. Jason Momoa, love you, but Aquaman was horrible. I feel like they did a really great job with the underwater elements. How did you guys feel about seeing the nation Talokan, and like what did it do for you visually?
I mean, it was breathtaking. Like, I wanted to go underwater. I'm like, I wish that was real. Like, I want to go down there. But I think I loved the sheer number of people that were down there. Like, it was just like how they managed to, like, they depicted them surviving despite everything else. Like, I just thought that was really like powerful, and it felt beautiful. Because it just is another, like, I felt like it was a testament to like every culture just still managing to like pull their own version of magic out of the rubble, right? And like still surviving in spite of like these stupid colonizers and stuff, you know? Like, so I thought that was beautiful, and I thought the visuals was like, I was just like, just watching. Like, I had no words. I was just like,
yeah, I agree. Like, I don't make it seem like I'm like, oh, because they're obviously, that was the whole thing. Like, they had a link, and that's just reflective throughout all cultures. Like, there are those similarities, which I thought it was depicted really well. Like, ultimately, that was the thing that saved the both of them, is realizing we are one and the same, and this only works. The future of our civilizations only work, and unless we come together. So I don't want to like knock it. I thought it was really well done. I was also like, from like the music, the way that it was set up, I think also it's a tribute to how it was filmed, because I think some of those scenes were like very much realistic, where those actors were in the water. Ryan Coogler was in the water shooting some of those. So that also brings like a realism to it, where it doesn't feel like, because I understand, to your point, Erica, like anytime people do like civilizations underwater, like it can feel real corny. I'm just gonna say it. Like, and Aquaman did it really well, where it was corny as hell. It made you feel like you were underwater, and it was like, no, this is real gimmicky. Like, whereas this felt very like realistic. So only reason why I said like some of the stuff was similar is because I saw stuff on social media where, I'm just gonna say, certain people of the Latinx community were very much like hyping this film up as if it was made specifically for them, where I don't feel like that was the messaging. Like, it wasn't just specifically for that culture, that was that you know what I mean? Like, so there was a lot of hype around, this is us, this is our movie, and I was like, wait a minute, wait a minute. So that's the only reason why, like, well, let's not do that, because now seeing the movie, there definitely are similarities there, but I think that was more for the story. But yeah, I like, in agreement. Breathtaking. Yeah. No, just, it was breathtaking. The music, like, just the music score in this movie, Lord, I just loved all of it. Like, as soon as I got out of the movie theater, I downloaded that damn soundtrack. And because the soundtrack was just great. They're perfectly crafted.
Speak about the discourse between Latin culture and Black folk around this film, real quick, because I don't want to spend too much time on it. I was like, I don't know, I didn't want to touch the conversation with a 10-foot pole, if I'm gonna be honest, at the top. Like, when
still don't kind of.
I understood how Black people were like, wait a minute, this is ours, like, because we don't get much, and it's literally like, okay, Marvel is 100% like Disney and a white company, cool, but like Ryan Coogler at the helm, and like how he strategically worked and crafted his team, is definitely given for us by us. Yeah,
Standalone.
So I understood
for
it.
sure.
So to see like the discourse from people within the Latin community not being able to understand that and like taking it personally, I was just like, I guess
it's always,
but also like yes, we can create space and like have things. I think that Ryan again brilliantly integrated both cultures in this film in a way that was authentic, that was nuanced, that definitely showed a lot of care, and it was not arbitrary at all. I don't know if every single Marvel director would have been able to do that.
Nope.
And then and also,
Oh no, they
y'all
wouldn't.
deserve. Well, Namor will probably get his own film or show or something, but y'all deserve that too. Like, ain't nobody stopping you from having your own. And that's kind of like where. Well, I'm not gonna say ain't nobody stopping you. The colonizers are stopping all of us.
Right.
But we are not. We are not saying we don't want to see you. We ain't saying we can't have. Like, we just saying we want to be able to see ourselves and continue to see ourselves and continue to celebrate ourselves within pieces of art and media that we work very hard to create. And I think that that's not too much to ask for.
I feel like the only thing I want to say about it, I mean, I have a lot of things I could probably say, but I feel like there's something to be said for missing the point of the story, right? Like watching the movie and like completely missing the nuances and like why the story went the way that it went, right? Like, because to even come out of it saying this is for us or this is ours or this is whatever, like you missed the point. Like you missed the entire point of the movie where yes, each culture has suffered, each culture has like gone through something, but together we're more powerful, right? Like together we can accomplish more. Together, working together and understanding each other, like we can see real, like we can make a difference in both of our struggles, right? But like I'm as a Latinx, I loosely say that because like I have my issues with like where I belong, Dominican, Black, what am I? But yeah. It's just it's this not wanting to identify with Blackness. Like they weren't even speaking Spanish, but you are taking that as like that's us, right? Like it's this not wanting to identify with a certain culture because like you are like your history. I don't know how they teach history in DR, so I can't really say, but like it's just it's not registering that like you're a part of both cultures. Like you're a mix of both. Like it was just a different stop on a boat. Yeah. Like I don't understand why you don't get that. Like but
that's a great point. Even like these ancient civilizations, because I think there was a lot of heavily influence when it comes to the Telecon. I think it was a lot of it they were stemming from like the Mayan civilization. So I mean, even stemming back to that, like ancient history, there's a lot of mix there. So it's not just like one linear, like, this is like, I'm pure blood this. I don't think anyone really is, and not people of color. So yeah, like Melissa said, you are really missing the point. Obviously, the first movie, that was specifically introducing the world of Wakanda. So there was going to be that singular focus. But even still, the way that Ryan wrote that, it was like not just, Black people in Wakanda. You have Black people in America as well, like all over. Like, I think, that even had a global feel to it as well. Whereas it was always going to be a natural progression to introduce different cultures as well. I think even when Chadwick was still here, he had conversations with Ryan about Namor and about introducing that. So that was always like the plan. And I think that's just natural when you're talking about a civilization of people. There's going to be another civilization right around the corner. Like, it's not just one, like this is the sole civilization, contrary to the colonizers, what they would have you believe that they are the one and only. That is not real life.
And I think it's something to be said about just like respect and reverence. So like Black Panther is the house that Black people built. So like let's honor that. And like I wasn't gonna say this, but you kind of like touched on it, Melissa. But like my grandmother is from the Dominican Republic, and I don't talk about it. I personally have done like research and certain things, but I don't talk about it because I'm a dark-skinned Black woman. And no, girl, Spanish, no, cut it out. Okay, y'all got it. And that's a very real thing, and that's my actual lived experience. And then y'all also want to be on TikTok coming at us now for like the Black experience. Like, okay, calm it down. Like, make a choice,
Right.
because it's giving you don't actually want me here, but then when you get invited to our party, it's like, oh, we all up in this thing.
Right. Right. That's
Wait
so
a
true.
minute.
So true.
That is so true.
Yeah. So I think, like, I think this movie was just really it was just a masterpiece, and I think Ryan wanted it to be a conversation, and I think it's going to come with some discourse, and I think a lot of the discourse is very unwarranted, very much doesn't make sense, very much you're reaching, it's not eating,
Very
but
much you're stepping right over
ultimately
all of
with
your
these
bullshit to try to
pieces
hop in somebody else's backyard and act
and missing the point of the message, which is why we will never be free.
Doing the colonizers' work for
never be free.
Doing their work for that, continuing their work. Continuing it.
Up in that thing, just like
don't worry, Master.
Just continuing to shovel the holes. We got you, baby. We got you.
We got y'all.
I mean, that's what it's giving.
Yeah,
it's the truth.
But yeah, but I think it's necessary conversation. So I think ultimately Ryan did what needed to be done, and they honored Chadwick in a beautiful way. And that I was gonna say to you guys, to ask you guys a question, because my mom's boyfriend, we came out of there and he was just like, I thought they were going to do more of honoring Chadwick. Like, I felt like it was kind of light. And I was quick to be like, well, I don't know about that. I think it's your interpretation. I think they did what they needed to do. And I also felt like there's a balance. Like, Ryan had to do a lot of things with this film. And I think people don't give him credit for that. Like, he had a lot to have to work with while grieving. Like, that's the thing. Like, these people had to grieve. And still they put out this amazing film that could have only been done in this space with those people and what Ryan created. And I think with Chadwick, I think it was intended to be a celebration of him while also honoring the grief, because grief is not linear. And I think you had different characters grieving this man in different ways. And I think that was what was reflective. I don't think it needed to be this heavy, well, he's gone. We all know that, right? But there has to be some some light at the end of that. I don't know. I just thought it was depicted realistically. I don't think they could have done any more than what they did without completely driving the point home that he's gone. Like, I don't think they needed to do that in the most obvious sense. You feel it, right? So I just think in my mind, I don't think there's anything that they could have done. And also Ryan did a lot of shit in this movie. Like a lot of shit, a lot of stuff. So I don't know. I didn't feel like it was light. I felt like it was what it needed to be. And it's like, it's not just singular to this one movie. Like, this man's legacy will be felt with every movie they make in the future. Like, they made sure of that in this movie, and that's just life. You know what I mean? Chadwick as the person, T'Challa, I think they were able to touch all those different parts, like honoring the legacy of the Black Panther mantle, because that's completely separate from who he was as a person. And then also honoring his legacy as T'Challa, the person, with his son. And there, I don't know. I thought it was really well done. And, Chadwick was in every part of that movie. So I'm like, to say that it's light, I think that you got to be careful with how you say things, because maybe you expected more, and that's the thing about expectations, you know what I mean? But I thought it was what it needed to be.
And that also speaks to like how the movie was structured, which I think was brilliant as well. They started off focusing on Chadwick as and then we were launched into the rest of what else is also happening in the world, so that we can go ahead and carry on. So part of me feels like it wasn't actually light. You just sat for a 3-hour movie. In the first 30 minutes, you forgot about when you got to hour 2 and 30 minutes. But going in that direction and talking about T'Challa Jr., what are some things that you guys are thinking are to come? What do you hope to see? I am going to go ahead and start it off, because I didn't even realize in watching this film, I forgot about the snap, honestly. After we had rectified that, I have forgot that we really lost 5 years, and Chadwick was, I mean, and T'Challa was gone for 5 years, and it wasn't until the like post-credit scene and like, oh, Dad prepared us for his death, and I'm like, and then he was like, and I'm like, oh wait, he was gone a lot of the time. Like Ramonda had been queen aside from when he passed, but while he was like disappeared. Okay. And then that took me to a place of like, now that we have T'Challa Jr., we're probably going to see another time jump by the time the next film happens. Because I do feel like we're going to expedite him into at least like young adolescence so that he can become really, really involved with the story moving forward.
Good point. Yeah, the timeline was kind of throwing me off because you just forget, like, I don't know, like you forget that 5 years, and then you also think, well, damn, what's that? I mean, obviously, I felt like that was very, very much they inserted from Chadwick right into T'Challa with the illness. But it's like, well, damn, you think, well, did that happen because of the snap? Like, my mind was going different, in different places, but you just completely forget about that. And then, yeah, I think it is natural to have a time jump after this one. But yeah,
so
that little boy, I want him to stay like that forever, child. I don't want him to grow up because he looks just like, I was like, hey, you got him looking like Chadwick. Like, I was just like, oh my
God. I didn't even remember the snap, child, until you brought that up. I didn't know the snap. I forgot about the snap. I didn't even think about how that like played into the whole story.
Because they don't reference it in the,
they do,
in the script.
Like, Okoye,
they do?
Or no?
Oh yeah.
I don't know if it's Okoye or Queen Ramonda. Like, they just make off the cuff comments about the amount of time that they had to deal in like the things that they had to surmount. So aside from like alluding to like the whole Thanos thing, like talking specifically about you sided with Killmonger, and then also after that 5 years of him gone, like it was like alluded to. It wasn't actually like spelled out.
Oh, I missed that completely.
Yeah, no, it wasn't until the conversation. Well, no, I think that Nakia and Ramonda had, like, when Ramonda came to see her, and there was that off the cuff comment, and I was like, I don't think I was really thinking about it then. But it wasn't until Okoye and Nakia sat down and like they directly reference it. I think that's when you first come to terms. Like, oh shit, yeah, there was 5 years, and then I'm thinking, well, then like, was he still? Yeah. Was he still in like Wakanda, like acting as king, and then like going back and forth between, because like, Nakia and Toussaint were in Haiti, so I was like, I'm still trying to figure out how that worked out.
He wasn't there.
So she got pregnant probably as soon as they got married. She probably got pregnant as soon as they got married, and then he disappeared. That's probably what happened. Yeah. Now is when I'm putting that conversation together, when she was like, he was gone and I just couldn't be there, like nothing. I was like, I literally didn't catch that until just now. I was like,
oh my god. See, I was confused. It was too much. I was just like this.
Oh, that's what they mean, that he was gone. Okay.
Yes, because I was like, he was gone. I was like, okay, but then I just kind of breezed past it, and I missed it the second time too, because I've seen it twice, and I was just like, maybe I just never understand what they're talking about, and that's fine. I'm like, they gave me enough content. I'll be all right.
Fine.
I can miss that little bit, even though I hate it, because I hate missing those little parts.
Yeah, she left Wakanda,
but okay, now I get it.
Away, but she was pregnant when she left.
So that's why. So you know what I did think when I watched that conversation, I was like, so you left. I had one moment where I was like, so you left him in Wakanda and you came to be in Haiti? Not like that she left him, but I was like, why is she in Haiti if he was in Wakanda being a king? Like, that's where I was confused. Like, now it makes sense. I was like,
me too.
He was not there. Like, duh.
And then he came back, and how they got sick, but then he was able to do that year with them.
Mm-hmm.
But then what's confusing is that, like, Okoye says, when you left, it hurt. Because but Okoye was snapped too. So was she referencing
was trying to grab his hand at the moment that he
but yeah.
Oh, Oh, okay, that's what it is. I'm in the headspace thinking, well, didn't she get snapped too? No, she didn't get snapped. Okay, yeah. So she did. I guess he gets snapped, and then they all have to deal with the fallout, and
which
then
brings
it
me
goes.
to raggedy ass Thanos, because while we making
Okay.
people disappear, you don't take T'Challa.
Right.
But
you don't. You do not. You do not.
But
take him.
Back to, what are y'all's expectations for Black Panther 3? Hopes, expectations. Think on it. I'll be right back, actually.
Expectations. I like to not have expectations, if I'm honest. Like, I like to go into it with just like, whatever you give me, I'm happy. Cause like then you're not disappointed. Cause like when I tell you that Hunger Games did not do it the way I was expecting them to do it,
Girl,
that's how I learned not to have expectations, though, Naya. That's when I learned not to have expectations. Because the way those movies disappointed me compared to the books, I will never forgive them. Never, ever forgive them.
I'm on there. The first two were magnificent, and then we get to the third one, and y'all don't know what the hell to do. Like, what the hell? Y'all have books. You
like
have books if you need help.
You like the first one? I hated the first one.
You didn't? I did. I love
the second one.
The second one's my favorite. I like
hated the first one.
Favorite one, but because the first one, I didn't read the books, so I didn't have any reference. I was like, oh, okay. And, I was like, okay, well, for me, I thought they did a good job, but my mom has read the books, and I think she even said she read the books like afterwards. And I think she said, yeah, the book was better than the movie.
The book a million times.
But they disappointed, absolutely, and they didn't need to break up Mockingjay into two parts because y'all didn't do anything with the two of them. So, anyways, yes.
Yeah,
no expectations.
I was saying that I like
that.
to go into them without any expectations, because I learned the hard way with the Hunger Games series not to have expectations with movies.
Oh. So it's nothing that you actually want to happen, or like, oh, it would be cool?
The one thing I would say that I want to happen, I feel like Letitia acted her ass off, and so they should not just set her aside to be like a sidekick character again. Like, I will say that. I feel like she earned the right to stand tall in whatever storyline they develop going forward.
Yeah. Okay.
I agree. I think I need to see her. I need a good, I'm sorry, I'm going to give her a good 3 movies, because I think her arc is really, I need 3, girl. I know you're trying to cut her off at like 2, but damn, girl, like.
Think of what she gonna do for all the, she don't give a damn much.
Okay, well, I still need her for 3. I stand by what I said. I know you be thinking it. You be thinking it.
T'Challa Jr., she gonna be throwing that suit back. Like,
she is. That's true.
About that. She done made peace, then started to work through her grief. She just wants to be a genius. She never wanted to be Black Panther.
That's true.
So cultivate some passion, maybe.
I understand. But okay, well, girl, this is just my opinion. Now, while I understand what you're saying, girl, like there's a thing to say about not wanting it to begin with, but this is your path. This is what it is. As soon as she put that suit on, it was a wrap. That was cemented. So I think she needs to explore that a little bit before she just like, all right, I dipped my toe in the water. I'm cool with just doing what I was doing before. I think she needs some time to really, figure it out. And I think it's interesting that now she doesn't really have the added layer of being queen, like, because I think M'Baku needs to be king. I think that he earned that with the second movie. So I don't think that needs to be where it is. And I think that's interesting, like, to not have to be both. Like, so she has a little bit more space to figure it out, like to figure out how to be the Black Panther and then still be that dope genius that she's always been. And so now she can like do both in that sense, where she can advance her own tech and she can create her own shit. Like, so I think there's something to be said about that story still, just because little baby T'Challa is still where he's at right now. So I need a little bit more time with her, because I just thought she did really well in this movie. And I think it'll be cool to explore that in the next one. I don't know how they're going to integrate the son, but because I read, like, this is a comic book thing. I don't follow the comics, so I don't really care. Sorry, no disrespect to the comic book readers. I don't care. But apparently T'Challa's son grows up, doesn't necessarily become king in the comics, but he's like in his own, he's on a team on his own. I don't know what that team is called, but that's in the comics. I'm not saying that that's going to be the thing.
Though, I think Mm-hmm.
Oh, really?
And they gotta get.
Well, there you go.
So I'm not even rushing to T'Challa Jr., but I know that they're tying the X-Men now into Marvel, so they're going to be launching them at some point anyway. So that is going to happen. So young T'Challa has to be ready to be able to date Storm and marry her and have a kid with her, and then do all of what senior T'Challa was supposed to do.
What the hell they gonna do that then? Because we've been waiting. X-Men, I always forget is a part of it because they have them all like in the damn corner in the back, and now they got
like the Final Four. It's like all of the before Robert Downey Jr. relaunched Marvel and saved their asses. All of the characters were like licensed out everywhere. Like it was just weird, and they've had to like fight to get different characters back. But that is, I think, I don't know. It's like it's phase 5 or 6 X-Men are coming. But they're going to bring them young first, I believe. So it's going to line up with little baby T'Challa.
Well, that would be nice, because that was always my gripe with X-Men, is that we never really physically got to see them before. It was like we had to go back in time and see them, even though I don't know, there was the original, but you don't really remember those. So if they bring if they bring it back and then have them as kids and then we can follow them, and that would be better.
Technically Wanda's the first X-Men, but I don't know.
Yeah, that's where they confused me. They just
3 movies with shirtless Black Panther. The next one and then the transition one is the second one after this one, because I'm gonna need to see how to do something else. I don't know.
What her to do other than what she's already done before is what I don't know.
So that I can also stop having to deal with everybody talking about how young she is, because she's brilliant. And I've always seen her as like leading world organizations in technology, like being the foremost like resource for everything. And then figuring out, like, I at some point feel like, and I feel like Ryan Coogler would probably think about this because he's Black and he gets it. But okay, we having a conversation about colonization, but then what are we actually going to do about it? I think that they're in a prime place to offer up a solution that we're not actually living. So like Shuri would be a great check for like how they're using technology, and like be the person that like fights against how misuse of technology and misuse of information and lack of information in different places, and like equalizing that for me. Like I feel like that is a compelling thing. Like, yeah, you can go and fight bad people all you want and be fucking claw niggas up, cool. But then also like your strong suit is in your brain, and I would like for you to use that.
She could do both. I mean, I feel like she could do what Bruce Wayne necessarily couldn't always do, and wear the both hats and still be effective in both worlds. So I don't know, I'm just in the mindset of, now that we have her, I want as much time until the next phase. So I'm in the kind of, because the way that she did it in this movie, I think there's a lot of jumping off points. So well, I don't know, because Ryan has a way of what I maybe like my completely does, like, because I'm not my brain doesn't operate like, I think you're unique, where you're operating in what's next, because this is what you do for a living. You have the writer's brain. I don't necessarily have that, so I can say, well, I think there's jumping off points, but I can't necessarily give you tangible examples right now because I haven't seen it. Like, I'm more like, I gotta see it, and then that'll give me the ideas. But because we just got her, I want to try to be in that, because of all of the people who were like, it doesn't need to be her, which I understand before this movie. And like I said, even the beginning, I didn't see it. But because of how she performed, and there's still people saying even now, I will never accept her as Black Panther. I'm like, well, A, you're just not going to watch, because whatever. It is what it is. But I just feel like the way that she performed in this movie, I think that there's a lot to be said about that being a part of her journey for as long as it needs to be, because it's what she never wanted. So, I think because she can, you know, make it her own and revolutionize it for her. So,
and she's also, I think,
don't know.
like a good thing is also that before, I guess she didn't have any respect for tradition and all that stuff, but I think a little part of her kind of is understanding the need for it while also still thinking outside the box. And now M'Baku, as king, he sees her differently, right? Like he told her, like, you're not after all the world's taken from you, you're no longer a little girl. So like I think she also has his ear now. So like I think that she could, like Naya said, she could kind of like take both worlds and kind of do something great with it, you know, like the technology part, the Black Panther part, and like just her having been a princess to like a king and her brother and her mother like ruling, like she has like a lot of insight into that kind of stuff. I don't know if that made any sense. I lost my train of thought.
No, it does.
But...
And I'm sure what both of y'all are saying. I think I also, like, I'm going back to, I listened to part of the podcast that they did for it where Ryan was talking about the plans, and he had plans for the second movie to be less about the Black Panther-ness of it all and more about T'Challa as a person. And that's also what I'm kind of saying.
Yeah.
I also feel like the mantle of Black Panther, to me, for sure, to be who she is very limited. Like, we haven't seen her love interest yet, or what her like sexuality is, what else she likes outside of that. Like, we know that her strong suit is the lab and her brain and her love of her family. She no longer has her family. She has this, and then she has Black Panther. She never wanted Black Panther, and then the job of Black Panther is to protect Wakanda. I just feel like her character is maybe bigger than that, and it feels like a container. Like, okay, we can have her there, but if this is all she's gonna do, I don't know how intriguing that will be for her to have the setup that she has had for an extended amount of time.
Right, but you could argue that that's just not it. I think because of your argument, exactly, it's not going to be just that. Like, I think because she's more than just one thing, it can't just be her being in this Black Panther mantle and that just be it. I think because of it, like, because she has to take on that mantle now, it can just become the bridge to different things where she still does become more than that. I don't know, just specifically because she's a unique character, her arc is different. I think it's impossible for her to just be that one thing. So I think her maybe becoming Black Panther could be the thing that sprouts her then doing the bigger things. I don't know. I feel like it can still be a part of it, and she can still do that, and it just be different because it's her and it's her journey. I don't know if that makes sense.
I think they've shown her to be a very singular, focused person. So I guess that's where my concern has come from, of like, for her to have the mantle of Black Panther as the duty that she has to do, and then she's been checked on tradition and honor and duty and all of that. That doesn't bring up for me that the forefront will be her figuring out a balanced life and like showing all of that. It's going to be her doing lab shit and being Black Panther.
Mm-hmm. Well, then I guess we'll just, like, I think because I do understand that it was very open-ended in that sense. It's just kind of like she had to do it, she did it,
also,
and then she had to go grieve and finally release it.
Black Panther too, so I understand.
No, of course. I mean, it's not like, it's one person. It's like, it's obviously a mantle. It's a tradition that keeps going on and on and on. But I think I just want as much time specifically with her and to see what happens with her character now that she has it. And I think we're not going to know about development and any of that stuff until the next movie. So maybe that would be my wish, is to see what she's going to do with all of it now. Cool. And then also how they integrate his son as well. So
I'm mentioning the son.
Yeah, I just think they did.
I think that he initially had a bigger role with T'Challa being in place, but with Chadwick's passing, I think unfortunately, but he still was a very important part of the film. His role was dialed back a lot, so I do think that next movie we're going to see a lot
I love her, and while the queen was totally valid in her feelings, I was like, don't promote her. I literally cried. I was like, don't like.
I was like this.
I was like, don't do that to her. I was like, don't do that to her. That is her. Like, don't do that to her. Like, don't. And the way she walked out, my heart broke. It like just like and walked out with her. I was
It was
like,
the
but I'm excited
welling
for her
up,
because
and she was just that was about to be her 13th
and the lip
season,
quivering.
okay?
I was like, girl. Oh, girl, it was. Yeah, that was a hard scene, and girl, Angela better get all her goddamn flowers. I'm telling you, I'm sorry, but she better get every award because they're nominating her. You better. I want the Critic Award. I want the Golden Globe, bitch. I want the Oscar that y'all never gave her for What's Love Got to Do with It and all the other countless roles that she's given to y'all. Has she not given it all? Has she not given everything to y'all, and y'all still haven't given her what she needs? She better get it all. Sorry.
Yeah. So I really am excited for what's next for Okoye, because I feel like while she was amazing as the general, like this new uncharted territory for her is exciting to me. Like her like in this new role, I think is very
her not
exciting.
being reinstated pretty much
I think she's
immediately,
gonna,
or like after
course,
this step, I was like, oh, so y'all got plans.
Right, right. I thought that was
yes.
I saw that too.
She's
I was
gonna
like,
be amazing.
I was like, Sherry,
And I don't know about Nakia, honestly. Like I don't like, because like she comes back when they need her, so like I could see that continuing to be her thing. But once her son is older and he's like training to be the Black Panther and King, I'm imagining she's gonna be back in Wakanda. So
I'm wondering, does Shuri
know.
bring
That's
her back now? Because the conversation was they didn't think that they were ready for people to know, but like mom's gone and she knew. He's gone. Their world has been turned upside down. They have to band together now more than ever.
But does that change things with the crown?
And then
because that
like,
is
now he's there in good places, but like if there's a threat to the crown,
works. Like they don't have a colonizer mindset. And I'm sorry, I have to give this whole damn tangent because I watched Harry and Meghan, and I was like, the fact that this one family's lineage has been ruling because they said so for hundreds of years, not because they're smarter or faster or just because they said so. At least in Wakanda, who is ready to fight for it? So I don't think that even with him coming back next year after he's 8, that's like immediate like ushering him. Like he would have to still battle M'Baku for the throne when he wants it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I forgot that that's really how it should be, right? Like not putting like a freaking 3-year-old on the throne because you're the last one.
Like in Game of Thrones, putting these ridiculous children on the throne just because they're the name.
Maybe that's another reason why I can't watch that show, because I'm just
no,
like,
it's so good though. Don't let me. It's so good. It's worth it.
They don't act like it's cool and like make fetch a thing. They like, oh, bet here we go. He's completely immature, utterly ridiculous, complete menace, and menacing occurrence that causes problems for everybody. The freaking queen was the longest reigning. Like she sat on the throne for like 70 years.
70 years. Yep.
And while I give it, that is the only thing, since we're talking about it, but I won't talk to y'all about it off screen. But that's the only thing I'll give to that lady, is that she was just a woman on the throne. That's about as far as my road goes for that woman. Because everything else.
Watching old footage of her, she looks like a Karen going around the Commonwealth. She really does.
She was. She was, though. That was her role. Like, she didn't do anything to liberate anyone. Let's be clear. Like, that's another thing. Like, a lot of people are in shackles. Like, and it's unfortunately some of these Black people. I'm sorry. This is all about on these that's all I'm going to not like. I'm about to say a little bit on these channels, and then we'll talk in private. But some of the Black people in this country in shackles, and I fear you will never be set free because y'all got the history really, really, really twisted. And I want y'all to pick up a book, watch something, because you remember things differently.
I'm about to pick up several books because the fact that Great Britain issued out monetary, basically reparations for slave owners, but not for slaves, all the way up until 2017.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know it was until that time.
Yes.
And y'all
I knew it happened. I didn't know up until when.
Reparations for these folks after y'all been getting your kicks and rocks off, torturing these people for years and having them work for you and benefiting off of all of their fruits, and they got reparations, honey.
Did not know it was until 2017.
And then they still got to parade like they did something with the Commonwealth. Like the Commonwealth is just it's just a modern perpetuation of slavery.
Megan opened my eyes. I'm sitting there like, I binged that thing. I think I watched the last episode 6, I guess, today for the gym. But
I haven't watched the second
5 hours, like.
I've only watched the first 3 or 2. I don't remember.
Because they touch on it like in the first 3. They give you, there's like a section I think in like the 3rd episode where they give you like the breakdown of the slavery chain. I don't even think they touched it, but they could have cracked it open a lot more. But they gave you a picture of what it was, and people need to go pick up a book.
But here's no, I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say it. I'll tell you off the internet.
Off air, because we're not. Yeah, that's it. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
Whatever. Wakanda Forever thoughts. Aside from it's utterly brilliant, give Ryan Coogler all the things. I don't give a damn if Ryan Coogler wants to make TikTok videos or feature films about hot dogs. I'm gonna watch any and everything that's in. I don't care.
I'm seated.
And
that man can
Hollywood
make
an animation movie. Your studio, your office, your car, and say, "I got an idea." You better say, "How much do you need?"
Yes, right.
I think Letitia said he's a treasure that needs to be protected at all costs because that man cannot stop creating. Like, I don't even want to put burdens on him like that, but his mind can never stop. Like, because Ryan Coogler is just that. It's just that guy. I don't know what to tell y'all.
Any more parting words for Black?
Go watch it. If you haven't watched it, you should be ashamed of yourself. And go watch it a million times. Like.
And if we spoiled it for you, oh well, you should have watched it.
You should watch it.
It's December. At least it's the middle of December. What the hell? What are you doing with your life?
My brother hasn't watched it. So I've been shaming him, but he's been trying to go with his family. He has 4 kids. He's been trying to go with his whole family, so that's why. But I'm just like,
I know.
I was like, he's like,
it's Wakanda Day.
He's ashamed of himself though. He's like, it's already December and I haven't seen it. I'm very upset right now. Like,
you got Erica on her. She could be on her 5th watch.
Well, if I watch Avatar on this, and that's 3 hours, and then I go,
yeah.
Listen,
I'm trying to go on my 3rd watch.
Yeah, my mom said, like, shout out, like, that movie did not feel like almost 3 hours at all.
No,
like, let's be clear. That shit felt like it could have been longer. Like, I could have been in the theater all night. They could have had me hostage all night, and I would have been like,
it's what time? Oh, shit.
Been like, ain't this some shit? Like, I would have been up in that thing because it was just, it ran through. And the second time I was like, it's over already. Like it was just, it didn't feel like 3 hours.
The first one did feel like it was quicker. But because I knew it was happening.
Yeah. But
it was not long enough, is the point.
It wasn't long enough.
It could be 3 hours next time, 3.5 hours.
3 days. It could be 3 days. And I'll be up in that thing. Sorry. When good stories are good stories.
Marvel, go ahead and I mean,
Take
Ryan,
notes.
I want you to have your peace and your wife and your life, but can you consult or something? Because Marvel, they
They need help.
need you.
They losing the thread. They're losing the thread.
They need the count. He needs to be on the council. One of the elders. Because what they doing right now ain't
Thank y'all
working.
so much for this dope conversation around Wakanda Forever, the second installment in the Black Panther franchise. I think Riri Williams is getting a show, and I'm really looking forward to that. This is the first
I am
about
too.
a
She's the
new character
Iron Man.
in the MCU, and I'm just really excited about it. Anywho, thank y'all so much. This is day 3 of Live Miss. Tomorrow we are talking P Valley. We're going to try to get Naya caught up tonight, but it's also late, so we'll see what she's gonna give y'all in reference to that. Thank y'all for keeping with me for 3 days straight going live.
I watched the first season, y'all. I watched the
Season 2
first
that
season.
either. She's been running from it. But
She's not trying to be in her feelings.
I love y'all. Thank y'all so much for watching and subscribing. Thank you, Naya and Melissa, for joining me yet again for some more talk and making me feel very normal.
Thank you for having us.
Appreciate it.
Always,
You are very normal.
Yeah, I will see you guys tomorrow. And I got everybody about your videos coming. But also holidays. I love you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.